Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show. It's Friday. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to have your company. There's no Ruffy, and we've got someone I think who stepped in to fill his shoes, and she's more than capable. Alison McConnell is alongside Barry Ferguson, ready for our Scottish Cup semi-final weekend. Yes, lots to discuss. Are we going to get a surprise winner in the semi-finals to take the place in the Scottish Cup final at Hampden? You can give us your view across social media on Twitter, Facebook and of course YouTube as well. Let's look to those two semi-finals now in the company of our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi.
Hampden Park, where the four teams left in this season's Scottish Cup will battle it out to return here for the Cup final on the 25th of May. Will Hearts be able to salvage their season with Cup glory, or will Inverness Caley Thistle repeat their fairy tale story of 2015? Perhaps Aberdeen can finally win the Scottish Cup under Derek McInnes, or will Neil Lennon and Celtic complete the fabled treble-treble? For Saturday's game, Hearts are favourites but could be missing two key players in Uche Ikpeatu and Peter Haring, both who are carrying injuries. Levine spoke of his desire to win the oldest trophy in world football as a manager following a near miss as a player. Inverness Caledonian Thistle boss John Robertson, of course himself a Hearts legend, is hoping the weight of expectation on the Jambos can give his side the advantage. He'll be banking on Caley taking their league form into the Cup if they're to have any chance of success. Of course, Caley did win the trophy in 2015 against the odds, so that will give them hope. The winning captain that day was Graham Shinney, now Aberdeen's skipper, but he is banned for Sunday's clash with Celtic. The Dons will surely miss their influential captain, but will believe in themselves after several impressive performances in Glasgow so far this season. In the 1980s, under Sir Alex Ferguson, Aberdeen dominated this competition, winning it 4 times in a 5-year spell. The team that stopped it 5 in a row, it was Celtic, and roles have reversed now. The champions are looking for a treble-treble and are also heavy favourites. Most of this squad cannot remember the last time they lost a game in a domestic cup competition, so their know-how could see them over the line. Sunday's tie promises to be one of the games of the season, and Saturday could throw up a few surprises as well. As you know, anything can happen in the Cup.
Yes, anything can happen, and Neil Lennon has mentioned, Barry, he reckons that so many of the rivals want Celtic to fail. Is that the stimulation that he'll be putting up on the wall in the dressing room?
Yeah, I think the players will know that. Everybody is wanting Celtic to fail. Obviously they've been the dominant force the last 2.5 years in Scottish football. But listen, the players are experienced enough to know that. They're professional enough, knowing that it's going to be a tough tie against Aberdeen, because Aberdeen's form of late, coming down to Glasgow, has been very good. Yeah,
sooner or later, one former Aberdeen player says they're going to get the result they're looking for. It's been 5 years since they managed to win a cup game. It's 24 games since Celtic lost a cup match, which gives you an indication of how strong they are.
The cup record is actually quite sensational if you analyse it that way, and I think there was a difference in mentality when Brendan Rodgers came in. I think Celtic had a bit of a jinx at Hampden. I think it had become one of those bogey grounds for them, but they seem to have exercised that with the exposure that they had under Brendan Rodgers. 7 wins out of 7 in terms of cups and silverware. But it's interesting, isn't it? Aberdeen came down to Glasgow at the end of last season and beat Celtic at Celtic Park. They've been to Ibrox this season, they've won. You just feel as though they're right, you know, sooner or later you have to go and you have to get a result. By purely of the law of averages, at one point it has to go. And I think a lot comes down this weekend to nerve. I think there's so much pressure on Celtic. I think there's a huge spotlight on Neil Lennon. I think whether that's fair or not, there's been a sense that he's auditioning for this role since he took it over. In every game, you look at that game at Tynecastle, the day he took over, the cup tie at Easter Road, the game against Rangers, almost every one you're looking at and saying, well, if you fall here, you're out of the running. So I think there's an additional layer of pressure and an additional layer of intrigue attached to the game.
Yeah, and with Lennon in this caretaker role, do you think the fear factor has gone for teams facing up to Celtic?
Not just Celtic, I think Celtic and Rangers. I think a lot of teams are more confident going in, playing against Old Firm, if I'm being honest with you. That's what I've seen, certainly this season. In Aberdeen, I just sense there's a bit of confidence coming out of the Aberdeen camp. Listen to, obviously, their manager, Derek, speaking, and a few of the players, obviously, been in the press this week. I just feel that Aberdeen players seem confident that they can come down to Glasgow and get the correct result that they've not had in a long time in a semi-final against one of the Old Firm.
And of course, Alison mentioned there, every week Neil Lennon's had to put up with constant speculation about a potential incomer as the new manager, over and above the fact that he's auditioning every week, but he seems able to handle it.
You can't stop it, that's natural, and it may be that's the way the club might want to go down that road. It's they'll make the decision. It's their club, it's the fans' club, and it's important for them that going forward they're happy with what they're doing. So regardless of speculation, it's inevitable anyway. Yeah, I'm just concentrating on the here and now and staying in the present of the job until otherwise.
Yeah, everybody's talking about obviously the quest for 10 in a row, but the treble is the most immediate point that every Celtic fan is looking to, and with every game, one slip up could put paid to any hopes of the treble. The league is getting closer, and this Scottish Cup semi-final is vital to their hopes of landing the treble. Scott Bain, the goalkeeper for Celtic, reckons this one would mean more.
I think it's different from last year. Obviously, like you say, I've had more involvement, so I think any time that I can play my part to help the team, it's always great, and I'll take more enjoyment this season because I feel like I've played a bigger part in it. So hopefully, like you say, we can put ourselves into another final after a big game on Sunday.
Okay, let's look at Aberdeen then. If they are going to do it, how big a blow is not having Shinnie Barry?
It is a big blow. He is their driving force in the middle of the park. He is their leader, obviously being captain of the team. He will be a big miss, but listen, it's an opportunity for another player to come in and show that he can perform on the big stage, because that's what it is. It's a big stage, semi-final at Hampden. That's the sort of games you want to be involved in. But missing Graham Shinnie, I think it is a big loss, because every time I've watched Aberdeen this season, he has been the player who has driven them on to get results.
Yeah, listen, you could speculate till you're blue in the face about potential lineups. Derek will have an 11 pick that he thinks can do the business. Of course, the manager is adamant that whoever he picks, they'll give their all with or without Shinnie.
I'll probably answer that Sunday. I feel he's a key player, but we've been without Logan and Mackay Stevens of late. So we've had to deal with missing key players for a while. We can still win big games. Obviously, Shinnie's been well documented what I feel about him, but it's like you say, we've known for a while now that he's going to miss this game. So it's we can't be too hung up on that, and just making sure that the 11 that is starting are ready to be at their best.
Okay, what about the 11 that's going to start? Let's have a look at the potential Aberdeen lineup. That middle section, it's got to be someone who's going to step in there and really step up to the plate with Shinnie not being there. There's a lot on Lewis Ferguson, I think, to actually step up and, put that little bit of bite that might be missing in the middle.
Yeah, listen, and I'm confident that he'll do it. I think this season he's been great for Aberdeen. He's went up to a club where a lot of people probably didn't expect him to play as much as he has, but he's been one of the main players at Aberdeen. And listen, obviously being his uncle, I'm delighted for him, and I'm hopeful that he gives himself a good performance.
Yeah, okay. What about that Celtic lineup? There's a few places there, Ali. Johnny Hayes, will he get the nod in your mind ahead of Scott Sinclair?
Yeah, I think Hayes will play before Sinclair, and part of it I think might come down to how compromised Kieran Tierney is. He's playing with this ongoing pelvic issue. I think the fact he's maybe not able to get up and down the flank as freely, I think Hayes offers you greater defensive coverage if he can't get back in time. I think I think Celtic are a bit more solid down that flank with Hayes in rather than Sinclair. I'm not sure. I think Scott Sinclair's really fallen away again this season. He's a player that we all saw what he was capable of in his first season. He has goals there. He can be very creative, but I'm just not sure we've seen the best of him for a wee while.
Okay, let's have a look at the quiz winner for this week. Celtic against Aberdeen is the Sunday kick-off at 2 on the Saturday. It's far from a sellout. Is that a problem, or is it to be expected, Alison, when you consider the miles that the Inverness fans have to travel to try and get to this 12:15 kick-off?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's absolutely a factor. I think you have to give it consideration. But I also think it detracts from the game as a showpiece event, as a spectacle. When you look around and the stadium's half empty, I don't think it does the image of the game any good. And I think it's probably odd, Barry will know more than me, but I think it's probably odd as a player going out to a game of that magnitude and the atmosphere is compromised by the fact it's so quiet. I think the kick-off time absolutely doesn't help, but I think maybe the common sense aspect is to take the game elsewhere, is to go to try and maybe think about where you can play it that makes it far more easier for fans to get to and from.
Yeah, that would be too sensible for Scottish football, to be honest with you, but I can understand why, quite simply because for Hampden to justify itself, they need to have the semi-finals, they need to have the final, they need to have a commitment from Scottish football, whether it be in the domestic trophies or the international football. So I get that. It's an argument we go through every year. You've mentioned the fact that sometimes you played against teams who were beaten in the tunnel. What about the added factor here? Hearts are the Premier League team. They're up against Inverness and they'll have the majority of fans. Does that have any sway?
Yeah, I think all the pressure's on Hearts to perform. Inverness, they're a good team with some really good players. I've seen them a few times this season. And obviously the added X factor of John Robertson, ex-Hearts manager and player, being the Caley Thistle manager. I've just got a sneaky feeling that Caley Thistle might nick this one. As I says, it's not going great just now for Hearts. There's a lot of noise coming for the stands. The supporters not happy with what's going on the pitch. So the pressure's on Hearts. Inverness can go out and go on. I don't like saying go and enjoy the occasion, but go out and play pressure free and go and have a go at them.
Well, I was going to say to you, some of the players will look back on what was achieved in 2015 and think, well, we can do it again. I mean, it's a difficult one to look at. First of all, the Hearts side, Ali, and everybody knows Naismith's a loss, huge loss. If you look at that formation, Ikpeazu looks as if he could be a doubt, and also another major worry is Peter Haring as well. So suddenly you've lost a key player in the middle of the park. You've certainly lost a talisman up front. I mean, we've put McLean in there. It could be White, and you know, it's so difficult to try and replace him. He's such a powerhouse for them.
I think he's almost impossible to replace, and I think when you add that to the fact that Naismith is out as well, it's a double whammy when it comes to where do you source the goals, where are the goals coming from, where's your creative outlet. I just don't know. I think if you're Inverness, as Barry says, you're going into the game that everyone expects Hearts, the pressure's all on Hearts. You go and you ask them questions. The first thing you're going to do is say, well, let's have a go at it, or let's. I think semi-finals are notoriously cagey for the fact that you're so close, but you still get this last hurdle to get over. But I just think there's a feeling, if you're John Robertson, of let's have a go, let's go and see what they've got, and let's see how they cope with any more adversity, or can they cope? Could they come back? For example, if you go a goal down, have you got the spirit to be able to come back and reply from that? Yeah, well, I had a chat on the phone with Robbo earlier this week. He's certainly confident enough that they'll be in the playoffs. They've had a good form in the season in the Championship. There's a real desire and a belief that they can maybe cause a wee shock in the playoffs. As well as that, he's transformed the
team. He's gone in there again. He's well known up in that area. Transformed them, got them to a Scottish Cup semi-final. Alison mentioned the lack of pressure, but of course he must be saying to his players, look, they're weakened, and we're playing well. They're there for the taking.
Yep, certainly he'll have them fired up. There's no doubt about that. If you look at that team you just put up on screen there, it's not a team that strikes fear into you. Let's be honest, when you're missing Ekpiezu up front, and obviously I think the main player, Hearts are a total different team with Naismith in the team. He's a top man, so if you're looking at that team without they two, you're in with a real chance, and I'm sure Rob will be saying that to the players. Once the team sheets come in at 2 o'clock, if obviously Naismith is missing, if Ekpiezu is not going to be playing, then there's a real chance that Caley Thistle can get a result.
Yeah, and as far as the Caley Thistle side is concerned, there's one player I always look and think to myself, is there a match winner in the side? When you look at the Caley Thistle lineup, that quite simply, Aaron Doran has been over the course so many times, Barry. He can not only create, but he can score.
Yep, he's every time I've seen him, I've been impressed. Polworth as well. I watched a lot of the Championship last year, and he was always a player that stood out for Caley Thistle. So they've got some very good footballers in that team that can cause some damage.
Yep, okay. It's called prediction time, folks. Simple as that. Hearts against Inverness. Who are you going for and why?
Inverness. The reason why, I've just got a feeling that Robbo against his ex-team, he'll have them fired up, and obviously Hearts missing some key players. So I'm going for Inverness. I'm
going for Inverness too. 1-0 Inverness. I don't think there'll be much between them, but I fancy Inverness to win it.
Yeah, it's a strange one, but that's all three of us on the Inverness camp. I just think, with no Naismith in the side, when he picked up that injury, I thought, this could derail Hearts' season again. And I think over and above that, I think Rob was getting them fired up. I actually think he's a Hearts manager in waiting. Again, I think he deserves a second crack at that sometime in the future. I'm not for a minute suggesting that Levine will get sacked. But if Craig Levine looks at it and the director of football job is still safe, he doesn't need to look any further than his pal, Robbo.
I think he's a ready-made replacement. Obviously he had the job the last time, but under difficult circumstances. If anything does happen in the future regarding the Hearts manager, I think John Robertson's the man to take them.
Okay, all three of us have gone for Inverness. I wonder if we're all going to be on the same track for this one. So Celtic against Aberdeen. Your nephew's playing for Aberdeen, Barry. Where are you going with this one and why?
Why you come to me first? I'll go with the experience of Celtic just to nick it. I think it'll be a close one. I don't think it'll be a big scoring game. I think it'll be close. I think Aberdeen will make it tough for them. They'll be up against Celtic, but I think Celtic will just have enough quality to snatch the win.
Ali?
I'm going to go for Celtic, but I agree. I think it might be very edgy. I think it might be quite a tense afternoon, and I'm going to go for 1-0.
Yeah, you like 1-0 as a scoreline. I think it could be one of those games where Celtic might edge it by the odd goal in 3. It's all about opinions. It's guesswork, really. You give us your thoughts on it. If Aberdeen turn up and maybe score first, that could change it. Give us your thoughts on it on social media across Twitter, Facebook and YouTube as well. So that's our thoughts on who's going to win the Scottish Cup semi-finals. And of course, over and above that, our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi has been working hard this weekend.
Well, where has the season gone? It's mid-April already, so that means it's Scottish Cup semi-final time. Hampden beckons for the 4 teams left in this season's tournament. It all begins with Hearts against Inverness Caledonian Thistle on Saturday lunchtime. Hearts are 3-1 to lift the trophy at the end of May, whereas their opponents are the least fancied side left at 16-1. In terms of goal scorers on the day, Uche Ikpeazu is a doubt for the match, but he's still 9-2 to open the scoring. Caley's Aaron Doran, who won Championship Player of the Month for March, is a good price to score anytime at 5-1. My tip for the game, though, is the Jambos to edge it. 2-0. You can get that at 6-1. Turning our attention to Sunday, Cup favourites Celtic are 4-7 to retain the trophy and complete their treble. But the Dons are keen to spoil the party. They're good value at 6-1 to lift the cup. Edouard is the man of the moment for Celtic and he's 7-2 to score first. But if you fancy an upset, Sam Cosgrove, who's made a stunning start to life in the Granite City, is 13-2 to score first. And I'm going with the Dons here. My money is on Aberdeen to ruin Celtic's party on penalties at 14-1.
Oh, 14-1 for penalties in this one. You couldn't rule it out. Okay, just as a footnote to that, we finish on, again, fan behaviour and misbehaviour. Anne Budge has already put herself out there, Barry, and said she's going to shut the stands. I don't know where we go with the fan behaviour. Even last night, Chelsea fans and disgusting behaviour against Mo Salah.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous now. Certainly up here with the events that's went on in the stands. We spoke about it during the week. I'm glad Motherwell came out and shifted pretty quick to ban the fan who threw the lighter on or pie. I can't remember what one it was. But racism, sectarianism and throwing stuff, I'm not having it.
Okay, let's hope we are talking on Monday about all the good things in football. Fingers crossed we have 2 good semi-finals and a lot of goals to talk about. From Alison, from Barry and myself, Peter, thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.